Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 102 of the Tristain on Sports Show Toss. Yes, it is your main man, T-Squared, Tristain Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us this week as we continue with our NFL playoff specials. We are now on to the divisional round. So let's hop right into things. You know, we got some good matchups. And what is undoubtedly my favorite round of the playoffs. The divisional round, back in the olden days, just being a couple of years ago, where both the number 1 and number 2 seeds entered the fray. Now you got the heavyweights. Now you got the big boys jumping into the fight. But now only one team in each conference gets a bye week. But it's no less special because it's the number 1 seeds jumping into the fight, jumping into the tourney to fight for their spot in their respective conference championships. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't hit myself with one of these. That's right. I'm patting myself on the back. I'm giving myself a round of applause because if you listened last week on Toss, available everywhere you listen to podcasts, and of course, if you're listening, thank you so much for listening to us. But if you listened last week, you would know that we went 6-0 on these picks. Super wild card weekend. We went unblemished on our game picks. In the AFC, I said Kansas City would beat Pittsburgh, and boy, did they ever. They beat the brakes off them boys. Wasn't even close. I said Buffalo would beat New England. Again, not even close. You talk about an absolute dismantling. I said the Bengals would beat the Raiders, and they did so. Got a little bit interesting there at the end, but the Bengals pulled that out, 3-0 in the AFC. In the NFC, I said Tampa would beat Philadelphia. Not even close. They did that. I said San Francisco would beat Dallas. It got a little bit raggedy at the end. Some people are calling it a controversial ending. I don't think it's very controversial. You have to hand the ball to an official so they can spot it. You don't hand it to your center. Everyone on the field needs to be aware of that. If you want something controversial, talk about that running play that put you in that position. Why would you call a running play? But then again, when you have Mike McCarthy on the sidelines, you have a lot of head-scratching plays. We saw him enough here in the state of Wisconsin. Apparently, Kellen Moore is the one that made the call, but Mike McCarthy is the one that signed off on it. Either way, San Francisco took care of business, as we said they would. And I said the Rams would beat the Cardinals because you talk about two teams that kind of backed into the playoffs, but the Cardinals especially. The Rams handled business. Again, a game that wasn't even close. 3-0 in the NFC, that equals 6-0 on Super Wild Card Weekend. So we're looking to continue that streak as we talk about the divisional round. Again, my favorite round of the playoffs because the heavyweights get involved. So let's start off in the AFC. We have the 4-seeded Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans, the 1 seed. Titans are looking to get Derrick Henry back. He's been designated to return, but he has not been activated just yet, but they believe that he will be sometime this week as we record this program on a Tuesday. That will be huge. Now, I don't think he's going to go out there and get his 20 to 25 carries that he normally gets. But if he could get lathered up and get going and give you any amount of threat on the ground, that just makes their passing game better. It makes things easier for Ryan Tannehill. That puts a lot of pressure on that Bengals defense. For the Bengals, you're young. You're an upstart. You handle business at home. The first playoff win in 31 1 years. It's something to be celebrated, but as Joe Burrow said after the game, hey, we won this one, now we have to go on to the next. Can they stay disciplined? Can they play within themselves? Can they stay within themselves? Can they stay with the formula that has brought them much success? Running the football with Joe Mixon. Getting it out there to your bevy of receivers, most notably Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. It's going to come down to who can make that defensive play. Titans are going to have to come up with it. If they can keep some guys on lock, they can keep Chase bottled up a little bit. Keep Boyd bottled up a little bit. Make somebody else try to beat you. They can have this win, but the one thing that always concerns me about a bye week in the playoffs, you're used to playing every single week. And then, boom, you stop. And there's no real way to replicate game action on a bye week. Do you come out flat? And if you do come out flat, can you find it in time enough to win the ball game? Or will you just come out flat and stay that way and get absolutely hammered? It's always a worry in the back of my mind with the 1 seed having a bye week. But the Titans are at home. The Titans have been battle tested. Remember, they went to the AFC Championship game. They're battle tested. They're getting healthy. And I think they win that game. So I'm going to pick the Titans to handle business at home coming off of their bye week and advancing to their second AFC Championship game in 3 seasons over the young Bengals. And I think it will be a lot more interesting than most people think. I don't really see this being a blowout either way. I think it'll be pretty close. It'll be pretty competitive all the way through. But I just think the Titans can make one more defensive play. They can the Bengals, and they'll come out with that victory. Let's move on to the other matchup in the AFC. You have the 3-seeded Buffalo Bills against the 2-seed Kansas City Chiefs, also defending AFC champions. This is a rematch of a regular season game that Buffalo won 38-20. You're talking Buffalo absolutely destroyed these cats in the regular season. Now, you have to think back to when they played them. At that point in time, Kansas City really was not very good at this point. Buffalo was rolling. It was still pretty early in the season. After that loss, Kansas City was under 500. It was just not looking good. Patrick Mahomes was turning the ball over. I believe they had 4 or 5 turnovers in that ball game against Buffalo. And that was at Arrowhead. Chiefs were at home. And Buffalo came in and destroyed those cats. Kansas City is not the same team that Buffalo faced early in the season. They've not been turning the ball over. That defense has started to get lathered up and play a lot better. Buffalo is going to have their work cut out for them. I don't see the kind of dismantling happening in the divisional round as we saw in the regular season. And again, Buffalo was impressive in their victory over the Patriots on Super Wild Card weekend. Absolutely impressive. They just throttled those boys. But this ain't a rookie quarterback. This ain't Mac Jones you're going up against. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Tyreek Hill. It's Travis Kelce. It's a bevy of guys that just know how to get it done. World champions just a couple seasons ago. Went back to the Super Bowl just last season. Battle-tested, experienced, improved their play since that game in the regular season. I'm going the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs to handle business at home. Buffalo's going to have to show me that, okay, we've learned. We've improved. We've gotten better. And that 38-20 wasn't because victory over the Chiefs wasn't because they weren't playing as well as they are now. It's because we're just that good. If they could come out there and do that defensively and offensively the same way we saw against the Patriots, then the Bills can very well come out of Arrowhead with a victory and a trip to the AFC Championship game. But I just don't see it. I just don't see that as we currently talk. Chiefs win that one. So your representatives in the AFC Championship game will be the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs will be on the road because they are the 2 seed. They'll be in Tennessee. Should be a good one if it shakes out. My picks for the AFC. Let's move over to the NFC. Talk matchups there. We have the 4 seed, LA Rams, the 2 seed and defending Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another rematch of the regular season. Los Angeles won that game, 34-24 earlier in the regular season. And again, it was one of the earlier games. At this point in the season, and let's just talk about their playoff win over the Cardinals. Odell Beckham finally got his first postseason touchdown. He also got his first postseason win, as did Matthew Stafford. Talk about a guy that's been in the league for well over 13 years, throwing well over 300 touchdowns, well over 50,000 passing yards. He's done a lot, but he had never won a playoff game, and now he has. Von Miller with his first playoff sack since Super Bowl 50, where he was the Super Bowl MVP. That defense is getting lathered up a bit. They're really starting to be that Rams defense that we all know. And the offense looked good. I mean, let's give Cam Akers some shine here. You're talking about somebody who tore his Achilles 6 months ago, has returned and put up 96 yards in a playoff game. Nearly ran for 100 yards after tearing his Achilles just 6 months prior in a playoff game. It's amazing. Hell of a performance for him. Hell of a comeback for him. I thought for sure we were not going to see him until next season. Had no idea he was even close to coming back to be able to play in postseason. And there he was. And he not only did he play, but he was producing. He was producing. But you're going up against the Super Bowl champions, defending champs. And for all their ups and downs and all of their injuries, and they're getting guys back too. They got guys back. Now, they have some issues with their offensive line. Tristan Wirfs went down with an ankle injury. Big-time loss. Who knows if he'll play or not. Lost another lineman. They allowed Philly to get pressure on Tom Brady. But in the end, Tom Brady was able to figure them out. it wasn't just Tom Brady. The offensive staff for the Buccaneers, Byron Leftwich, they're able to figure it out. But that pass rush for Philly was just getting to him. And you're missing offensive linemen, and that doesn't bode well. Going up against a front like the Rams with an Aaron Donald on that line and a Von Miller bending around the corner. Despite all of that, and despite the victory had by the Rams earlier in the season, I still feel as if Tampa will win that ball game. They're at home. They've been able to figure things out. They've still been able to win despite their injuries. Yeah, they had a rough patch there, but they got it together enough to get the 2 seed. Had some losses on their offensive line in that playoff game against Philly. Yeah, Tom Brady was eating sacks, and he was eating pressures all day. But they were still able to put up points, and a lot of them. And they kept Philly off the board. And again, I mean, Tampa is going up against one hell of a receiving core as well. Cooper Kupp, Triple Crown winner. OBJ, Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson. They got some guys that go out there and catch that football. And then not to mention their run game with Cam Akers, Sony Michel. They want to run the football and play action. They'll be able to do so to a certain extent. In the end, the defending champs will find a way to win. I got the Buccaneers winning that game over the Rams. Just a gut feeling on that one. And honestly, that game could go either way. That's a game that could go either way. It is really two really good teams with good defenses and really good offenses. They really mirror each other. They really do. Would not surprise me if the Rams won that game one bit, but I just have to go and give the champs their respect. I think they'll figure it out and they'll win that ball game. Last, but certainly not least, the primetime matchup. Yes, the traditional 1-seed primetime Saturday night matchup belongs to the 6-seeded Niners and the 1-seeded Green Bay Packers coming off of a bye week. Again, that always sticks in the back of my mind. Are they going to come out flat with no juice after a bye week? Niners handled business in Dallas. Let's be clear, they handled business. Yes, it got raggedy at the end. There is no question about that. But they held on. Now, they did not hold on without a cost. Jimmy Garoppolo, in addition to his torn ligament in his thumb, he now has a sprained right shoulder. He was asked which one hurts more or which one is bothering him more, the thumb or the shoulder. He said yes. Did not iterate which one was bothering him more. He just said they're both causing him issues. So that's going to be challenging, especially in the cold. And it's going to be cold on Saturday, y'all. I know there's a lot of folks here listening that have not been to Lambeau Field in December and January to watch the Packers play. I have. Have watched it, have covered games there. It is cold. There's benches. You need to find something to sit on. You bring a blanket in or something because you're going to freeze to the benches out there. Still beautiful, still the best place to watch a ball game in anywhere. But it's going to be cold. And with those kinds of injuries, they could be exacerbated in the cold, especially if you get hit. That cold hit, not to be redundant, but that cold hit different. That's the type that just goes, that it hits your soul. You don't even want to play no more. That's the type of cold they're going to be dealing with. But they handled business because they ran the football. We all know Kyle Shanahan. We know what he wants to do. He wants to run the football and do play action. We spoke about it last week. Deebo Samuel running the football is no longer a wrinkle, quote unquote, and I'm doing air quotes, in their offense. It is a part of their offense. Elijah Mitchell ran well. Brandon Ayuk blocking, catching. Where was this guy in the first half of the season? Probably would have won some more fantasy football games, but I digress. They absolutely handled business. And for all the talk about how good the Cowboys defense was, and again, they do have a talented defense, but it was not an unbeatable defense. Niners ran over them, made the passes when they absolutely needed to, won that ball game. The Packers, again, coming off of a bye week, they're as close to as completely healthy as you could possibly be. Jair Alexander got in a limited practice on Tuesday afternoon. Matt LaFleur says, hey, we'll see how they respond in practice and see if they'll be available for the game. He's playing it very close to the vest. I think he'll play some in that game. David Bakhtiari had the day off, load management. No worries about him. He'll be able to play. The big shocker of a return is Whitney Merciless, linebacker. Went down with a torn biceps, and you hear that, you know they're out for the season. No way they're coming back. Well, he's back, and he's going to play on Saturday. You're talking about adding another pass rusher. In addition to Zadarius Smith, again, a huge return. Again, LaFleur added him in with Jair Alexander saying, hey, we'll see how he responds in practice all week. But I feel he also will play some in the game. You get two of your premier pass rushers back. To go along with what Rashawn Gary is doing, to go along with what Preston Smith has been doing, to go along with the pressure that Kenny Clark is able to apply and the double and triple teams that he soaks up. You have to be salivating at the thought of getting after Jimmy Garoppolo to be able to do that. But on top of that, to be able to play the run. Because we all know what the Niners want to do. They want to come in and run it down the Packers' throats because the Achilles heel of that defense is the run. And they have struggled against the run. In their first matchup, they put a lot of guys down into the box. Worked out for them. I believe the Niners averaged about 2.2 yards per carry in that first game. Again, another rematch for the regular season where Green Bay won 30-28. Took 37 seconds for Aaron Rodgers to get the Packers into field goal position. Mason Crosby hitting the game winner. Again, these teams are very different from that point on. I think the Packers kept getting better and better. They were good then. They're even better now. The Niners were struggling at that point, but they put it together, and they've gotten better, and they've played better. Niners want to run the football. They want to be physical on defense. We don't know if they'll be able to do that. Bosa may be out. Fred Warner has an ankle injury. We don't know if he'll be able to play. You might have a couple of their impact players on defense out. Currently don't know at this point. Again, Packers getting healthy. MVS got in, a limited practice as well. They're getting healthy, but it is imperative. I repeat, it is imperative they get out to a fast start to negate any sort of run game plans the 49ers have. If they're going to win that ball game on Saturday night at Lambeau, the true frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, you're going to need to make them put the ball into Jimmy Garoppolo's hands and beat you that way. If they can beat you that way, then tip your cap to them. Tip your cap to them. I don't think you can do it. But if you're going to allow Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, to get lathered up and going in that run game, you get shivers from the trauma of the 2019 NFC Championship game. You just don't want to think about that. But it may very well be a repeat if you allow them to get lathered up and going that way. But I believe the way that they played in their first matchup, they learned some things. And with this bye week, they've tweaked some things. They've gotten healthier. I believe the Green Bay Packers come out with this victory against the Niners in the divisional round to advance to yet another NFC Championship game. Another shot to make it to the Super Bowl at home against the team that came in and knocked you out last year in the NFC Championship game, the eventual Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a rematch that would be. So let's recap. In the AFC, I have the Titans beating the Bengals and the Chiefs beating the Bills to advance to the AFC Championship game. And I have the Buccaneers beating the Rams and the Packers beating the Niners to advance to the NFC Championship game, a big-time NFC Championship game rematch. Man, that's got to be something you look forward to. We're getting close. We're getting close to the final four teams. Divisional round. I cannot wait. I'm too excited. Again, my favorite round of the playoffs because the heavyweights get involved. It's always a shock if one of the heavyweights get knocked out. But I don't see that happening. 1 versus 2 seeds all the way around, but watch somebody end up getting knocked out and be a lower seed up in there. I just know it. I went 6-0 in the wild card round. I am not going to go unblemished in the divisional round. So if you're trying to bet based off of the picks that I just gave you, please don't. I don't want to lose you any money. I want to make you money. All right, y'all. That'll do it for me. That was episode 102 of Toss Tristain Sports Show. You know where to find me on social media at the20double on Twitter. That's at the number 2, the number 0 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me in both spots. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. Your home for the Toss on Facebook page. Enough said. Follow me there as well. And of course, TossNationMedia.com. Your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. But, as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. It's T-Squared, Tristan Thomas, reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Enjoy the divisional round. Until next week, so long from Toss.